craziness of my hair right now. I do need to put these messages out. It's very important. What we're going through is a huge crisis. It's a spiritual crisis, where the before meets the after. Now the after is meeting the before. I'm going to be reading my notes from my channeling meditation. So here's what I got, and I'm not even done. I have like 47 minutes of a channeled message, and I can only give you guys so much at a time because the way that the transits are going to go, not all of the messages were specifically for you guys. It was also like specific to me or my tribe, and what we need to do to activate others, basically. So for you, what we are going through is a huge crisis. It's a spiritual crisis where the before meets the after, but now the after is meeting the before. We are meeting our soulmates and we are meeting our soul tribe. We are meeting people that are of our place. These are people to help us with our crisis. We can feel the day, not as a person, but try to feel the day as a spirit, feeling the actual feelings of waking up and having your first sip of coffee, what that feels like versus what you are doing. We're doing a lot of confirmations of right now, versus our professional life, and it may feel under attack. We might be going through some crises of putting these crises in our earth realm life versus spiritual, is because we're being put on a spiritual path that feels like what is spiritual and what is like the mundane earth stuff that we need to do. Like we need to pay our bills, we need to be a part of society, etc., etc. So it's causing us to find our purpose. It's directing us to find our purpose. I am not the only one in crisis. We are all in crisis. And this is the meaning. The reason we are all in crisis is because we are being pulled to our purpose. We are being told to find our tribe. And that's why this purpose is being so heavy. We are finding the need to speak to people. We are finding the need to express our feelings. We are feeling like a volcano that needs to erupt with all these emotions and stress that we're under. And everybody's going through it. It's just like how COVID was. Like everybody was going through the same thing. Now we're in a time where people are going through a financial crisis. A spiritual crisis comes along with that because we're being pulled into the spiritual direction. And at the same time, we're like, but no, we need this. The spiritual crisis, I believe, comes from Chiron feeling like we're going to be going in through... Chiron is our wounded healer, and it is in our spirit boss right now. So it's in Aries, and it's kind of in a way going into the next grade level through the degrees, and that's like astrology, okay? But I wanted to strictly go into more spiritual awareness here because this is what it was so important, is that we're going into this huge awakening, and we always are. But if we were ourselves, if we were by ourselves, or if we were our past selves as of right now, our crises would be so different. They would be making us feel more and more like we are alone, or we wouldn't have had the tools that we have now to function. That's why the Age of Aquarius internet is so big, is because we can find those therapists online. We can find those people that we need to express ourselves through. And again, I was receiving messages again and again about the meeting of souls for the soul tribe. And that correlates with us going somewhere, releasing our feelings, and coming back. The other message I received heavily in is self-worth, self-respect, and self-worthiness, self-love. And the other one, no one's going to like this, but it's about forgiveness. It's literally, it's literally telling us that we would not survive this. We would not survive this alone. We would not survive this if we were in the past, our past selves. We need to continue to be doing things. What we are doing is in spirit. as we do things in spirit, spirit will come through us and will show us to each other who we truly are. This is the truth. We are figuring out what our souls, spirits, and lights are with. We're figuring out who our tribes are, and this is where people are going to find crisis as well. You find crisis, and then you find someone to relate to you. Do you see how that works? That's like networking. This is Age of Aquarius stuff. So we also have the people that are in crisis are in need of support. So not only do you have maybe a key to somebody else's troubles, you also need to find out if they have a key to yours, because we're finding a lot of this corrections where like we're not just the teacher now with this North Node, we're also the student. The Age of Aquarius energy is in the constellation. I got a lot of downloads about astrology as far as sacred geometry and why they built it the way that they built it. We created the constellations from constellations. They are not like correctly measured. So we needed to do that from 0 to 29, 29 meaning the absolute most, and 0 degrees meaning absolute seed. The forewarning, the before that will never be the after. It's 0 degrees. 29 degrees is every single piece of that constellation, meaning part of the zodiac in that piece. We have individual gifts, and we all need to start sharing them with each other. We are all receiving messages simultaneously, and we need to share them so we can piece them together. It's like a huge jigsaw puzzle of messages. This is how we are all going to receive them and create the pieces that fall together through the jigsaw puzzle. We need to find out how to do this. That was like one of the major things. Is I believe that networking is really going to be important here. Therapy, like therapists, the thing that kept coming up for the full moon in Virgo was therapists. So it was like we need to understand that process of how therapy works. So please share that information below. Like, how does this work? You talk about yourself, and you're supposed to leave feeling a certain way. If you feel a certain way, then it worked. Or if you feel another way, it didn't work, right? So that's a perception, right? It's not always going to work the first time. You're not always going to feel the therapy for the first time. And then that means that you need to find it somewhere else. If you're not finding your light within that therapist, you need to go to a different therapist. This also means find your tribe. Find your tribe that helps bring your light, the darkness to light, and also the light to darkness, because they need to be able to go deep with you, right? We can't just be like, I'm the only one deep here. Like, I can't. So that's why we have multiple people. Like, I always look at like Geminis, because they love their networking. They have a person for everybody. They have like a friend that they go on vacation with, a friend they bring home, a friend that they don't bring home, a friend that they're like, okay, you're cool, but you won't ever meet my family or my husband. Like, in particular, like that friend is cool, but like that, you know what I'm saying? Like, when we incorporate all of the trine of the Aquarius, the Age of Aquarius comes with Gemini and Libra. And the Age of Aquarius comes with our fixed signs as well. So it comes with Taurus, it comes with Scorpio, and it comes with Leo's energy. And what are we leaving out? We're not leaving out that much, except for we are leaving out Pisces. We're leaving out Aries. We're leaving out Cancer's energy, Capricorn's energy, and we're really needing to look at different axes. Those are through sacred geometry and astrology. Again, I'm so sorry. I look like, this is what happens, okay? So the other messages that I have received is that we are all going through the same crisis, and that we are also finding ourselves in truth. We need to find ourselves in truth, but also to find true happiness. This is the true happiness of growth, knowledge, and wisdom. I was told to like bring up my examples of when you are in a crisis mode, to remember to still bring joy, to still ground yourself, to still like zone people out and be of yourself. So when you're going through crisis, to still find joy. Do you know what that means? Do you know how to get there? Do you need help getting there? Is there a network you can see helping you? Do you have a friend who you can call? Like, basically, do you have a friend you could call? If you don't, like, create that own community for yourself. Like, create a sacred space for yourself. Like, if you cannot find that that group on Facebook, Instagram, or whatever group you need to find right now, still look for it. It is out there. And if it isn't, do what I do and just create it for yourself, because that's honestly where we're going to find our community. It's creating for ourselves. We need to feel everything. We are living on earth. We are doing earth things, but we are also having earth crises. These are becoming spiritual crises, because we are so fixated on what bills need to be paid, what taxes we get, what money comes back to us. We're worried about earth things. These are things that we don't take them, that they stay here on earth. These are earth problems, and that's what I mean. But whenever I say like mundane earth things, I mean that we do not take these things, these physical things, with us when we leave this earth. So it's very important to like put that into perspective as well. It's my perspective. It doesn't have to be yours. 29 degrees of every piece of the zodiac from start to finish. That is what you feel when it is 29 degrees. Today is 29 degrees Aquarius, meaning that we are jam-packing everything from January and February into one degree of the 29th degree, because tomorrow is Pisces. And that's the 0 degrees of Pisces, meaning the absolute seed of Pisces is being born. We are all, again, receiving messages was a huge thing. We need to start sharing them. We need to start helping each other out through crises, and maybe even speak about like our wisdoms of like times that we have gone through things ourselves, because we have for some reason stopped talking about it. And I'm going to get into that as well. The 0 degrees again, 29 degrees. I'm trying to like shuffle this because a lot of it was like, it was repetitive for me to understand. So when I incorporate this into our horoscopes or into birth charts, like these are the downloads that I get. And sometimes we have a switch that gets turned on, and then you're like, okay, you're on a whole different mission, and you're like, I'm trying to finish this, but this is happening too. So what do I do? Like, we have to correlate everything together. There was a lot of jigsaw puzzles being met. So we need to network in that way. Finding joy through crisis is the shortcut. We are all going through crisis. Find your joy in vulnerability. Find it towards the future. To me, this means look at your 5th house and look at your 11th house. What signs are in here? What planets are in here? What do you have to do to find your joy in vulnerability, to shoot through to the future? I have experienced the day from start to finish feeling as spirit. It was not me. Like, I was so exhausted that there's like that automatic and natural. Natural is more of like our spiritual sense, and automatic is more like when someone comes in the room, we sit up. Natural is like we are chillaxed and we're not really going to move, and we're not really going to care like what our hair looks like. Like, that's spirit. It goes without judgment. Like, you don't need to be put together. It's not something that needs to be, like, you don't have to mask yourself any longer, is what I'm telling you. You don't have to wear this mask any longer. The only way you have to wear a mask is when you are building boundaries and limitations, and you need the courage. If you need the courage to do so, then yes, I do recommend wearing that mask and putting on that face and being like, you know what? That's just your perspective. That's not my life, and I'm not accepting that. And that's why that self-respect, self-worth, and self-love is so important. Because we are putting together the understanding. I'm going to read some more. We are putting together the understanding that through crisis, we can help each other. We can help each other emotionally where we may not have found it anywhere else. This is just the meeting. Like how I always compare meetings to AA. It's because that we release our burdens of our past, and then we get to come home with a less toxic negativity attached to us, the meeting. As I come into the light, I am bringing you into the light, and I am sharing the light. We are all sharing the light. We are all channeling separate pieces that need to be connected like the puzzle. We all need to have this. This is a complete emotional level, emotional aura, feeling, and speaking. This is emotional, and this is physical. We need to do that together in order to create. Lilith right now is in Taurus and is teaching us the self-worth, values, and virtues to be taken in because she is suppressed. And when she is suppressed, we feel suppressed. So by doing this, we are elevating that suppression. This is becoming that energy blockage. Now, she is still in the early degree. She's still under, I actually don't know what degrees it is today, but I do know that she's in still the early stages of the degrees. When she gets a little bit more emotional, we really need to fight for our self-worth. She's the one preparing us by making us feel a certain way, but we need to unblock this energy in Lilith. Unlock it. To forgive, that's the one thing she doesn't know how to do. She doesn't know how to forgive. So to forgive where we need to forgive, because Lilith does not know how to forgive. And that's going to be the energy block. The consequences that come from doing that are we earn self-love, we earn self-worth, and we have self-respect. It's very important. It's called soul's sponsoring. The soul sponsoring is when is like how I compare the meetings to AA. Understanding that it is to find a sponsor and understand that it is to take responsibility after actions that have been taken. That's why I compare it to AA. Because you come home and you forgive yourself, just like reconciliation, forgiveness of sins, key is forgiveness. Key is forgiveness. And we are woke for these reasons. Woke is you know that you're living a 3D spiritual experience. You're living a 3D spiritual experience. You're here on earth and you feel more than what is physical. That's what that means. When you are woke and you know that there is more than the naked eye can see, that is when you're woke. The problem here is after birth, we have that self-worth, self-taught skills and communication, the inner energy roots, joy and vulnerability. Day-to-day routine is where we are being incorporated into our day-to-day routine, and that is what is distracting us. Also, the 7th house is unity shadow work, and if it has been nothing, it needs to be forgiven. Anything that has not been done through shadow work needs to be forgiven. And then the 8th house transformation do not see it as a death. See it as an ending to a new beginning. The only death is of what comes next if you evolve. If you don't evolve, sorry. It is not to be incorporated into the physical death. It is to be incorporated into the idea where there is behind every end, there is a new beginning. There are songs that we need to look into, songs that we feel very connected to. Those are the songs that have our spiritual frequencies that hold our messages. For instance, like the Age of Aquarius has some symbols in there as well. The brain is directly connected to source. Our spirit is the energy that keeps it lit. Our emotions are, our heart is connected to source. So this is like the sun, the moon, the mind, the soul. Generation Scorpio. This is for you, Generation Scorpio. We know which exactly generation we need to look into when we look into Pluto. Right now, I'm going to be talking about Scorpio and Pluto generation specifically because this is the time. The time is now for you. This is the time. Come out of the dark, and we need you guys. And this is why we need you guys. We may not know what we need to do, but we will feel it. And the Pluto Scorpio generation, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You know how to feel more than anything. You are in the Pluto rulership of Scorpio is exactly what we need to get through because we're in Capricorn Pluto right now. And when we hit that 29th degree of Capricorn in Pluto, we need you guys ready way before. And that's why I'm here. I'm here to tell you guys, like, now is the time to start understanding the feeling. And now here's the message you're not going to like. We do need to do our best. We will feel it. We will be drawn to it like a magnet. It will be a direct pull from our body's energy. Too much is not being said. Much needed There needs to be, okay, we need to start sharing. We need to start sharing the way that we feel, not the way that the world sees them. It doesn't matter about anyone's worry here. That's why self-worth is important, and that's why self-worth is the key. Knowing and understanding your worth and getting it out there to everyone can have the keys together so we can all ascend. When we say we are woke, we are living a conscious experience. A conscious waking and channeling will happen. This is why crisis happens, because we need to incorporate the two, and during that time. The 8th house of transformations is where two become one, but also where one become two of higher understanding. Your higher self and yourself are incorporated in the 8th house of transformations. Needing to share our information so we all can learn how to channel properly, because we all do know there's negative and positive. We are all getting messages from above and below, and we are connecting them together, and that's why we need to find the neutrality. The neutrality is Earth. Earth's frequency is neutrality between heaven and hell, correct? The age of Aquarius is pulling Pluto and Scorpio generation. It's squaring you off. The age of Aquarius is squaring off your Pluto in Scorpio generation. So we're talking about the things we need to talk about. We're talking about the dirty things that we want to come up and purge. We're talking about so much of this is going to help you with reconciliation and finding forgiveness. You don't need to forgive anybody for what they have done to you. You need to forgive yourself for remembering the past and letting it take you down, if that makes reconciliation more clear. I did put that the most important key here is reconciliation, because even to find it in the Catholic Church as being important, as where we give, we tell someone who is our mentor of spirit, we tell them what we have done wrong. And in turn, they tell us and explain to us that God loves us in a way that there is no wrong, and that we need to forgive ourselves. And we can do this on a regular day-to-day routine until we hit where we need to hit. Or we can learn how to incorporate it into our night-to-night, like before you go to bed. Learn how to do it. Learn how to forgive yourself for not being able to forgive. Finding the neutrality is really going to be the most important part of these transactions and transits during this spiritual time that we're under. We can be feeling like that like forgiveness is a hard thing. It's not easy, okay? So if you haven't done the shadow work, or if you haven't started on understanding yourself, the other shortcut is to love yourself. Someone who can say, I love myself, will have the self-worth, self-respect that they need. There's other ways to create like unblock energies. I just want you to know that. Like, there are things that are on earth that are not forgivable. And I don't want you to feel ashamed or I don't want you to feel like you don't have a chance because of it. Because if there is something you cannot forgive, then it's not for you to forgive, but it is for you to forgive yourself for remembering it, because it's bringing you down. Okay? And I hope that helps you. I hope this helps you. We are all learning how to forgive. We have to forgive. The kindness that can come within, oh, yeah, here. So the kindness that had came within the last year has been completely devoured, and it was going into a different direction. So they had to kind of like put everything into a new way to pull forth. So we needed to understand it in a different way. We keep recycling this information to you, and we keep trying to help you understand it. We keep giving you information that is much needed through the crises that we experience. That's why the therapist is the most important. And explaining it, and it goes on to explain that we need to understand Virgo as the therapist. The mutable earth is the therapist, and the full moon in Virgo is very important, and that's where the conscious and unconscious minds are the same are being pulled into that neutrality. And that's why we need to be doing what we need to be doing. We need to record what we need to record, and we need to record it. Like, we need to understand it in a way that, like, the Bible had worked for others. We need to understand our own personal Bibles, like journaling things or even vlogging. But vlog to yourself. You don't need to put all yourself out there, right? So just understand that we need to communicate to ourselves to remember. And the reason we remember is because we need to share this information with ourselves on and on till we learn how to forgive. We also, if we have the strength, to share with others. This is what the Bible was supposed to do, but it turned into something else, and therefore they've been trying to correct the use of the Bible. I don't know how to explain that any other way. So, the use of the Bible is for spiritual work only. And when you put the laws of the Bible into your physical realm, you are already creating a crisis, because those are not to be connected in that way. And that, I know that doesn't make sense. Like, when you say Jesus and you have hope and you have optimism and you have the whole feeling of Jesus in your soul, I want you to remember this. You have never seen it. Does it make sense now? You could feel it. Does that make sense now? Or if you're coming from the other direction, like, does that make sense? If I was to say that, like, you have never seen it, so therefore you never are going to believe it because you have never seen it. So maybe you're coming from the other extreme. Right now we're facing two extremes, and we need to meet in the middle. Just like the balance of the yin yang, we are learning to create the light in the dark and the dark in the light. And it's not about anything except for sharing your perspective. You give light to people, they give light to you. They give darkness to you, you give darkness to them. Does that understand? Like, we're meeting in the middle. Someone can come up to me and tell me that they're playing a little game with me, like a head game or whatever, like life is a game to them. And I will completely refuse it. Like, I won't even... The old me would have created this whole downward spiral fight, right? So what we do have to understand here is that we are going through transits that are going to question how far have we come. And we are being pushed in the extreme feelings. There's so much that is going to be going on with this full moon in Virgo as well. That's just like the first half. And I really don't know how long this is, but I hope it's like under 15 minutes, because I really wanted to get into more about the full moon later. And then I still have tons more to do. So I know we're all going through crisis. I just want to reiterate that this is just the transits that are coming in and out. We are learning how to deal with a spiritual crisis and a very much physical crisis, okay? We are at the 29th degree of Aquarius. Please record that we are going into Pisces tomorrow, 0. Wherever that 0 degree Pisces is in your chart is where the sun is tomorrow. So, peace and love. I hope this helps you. Maverick Spirit Astrology. Please like, comment, share, and let's create our community. Let's do this.